Hello and welcome to the latest edition of the New Haven Independent Vlog News Summary, direct from our newsroom, otherwise known as my Compost Heap. Let's see what stories we're working on this week. In my Compost Heap, I have found the mayor's lunchbox. Mayor John DeStefano. Let's see what he's packing for lunch today. Oh, look at this. The mayor's chief of staff, Sean Madison, packed him a memo, a nice note, along with his lunch. Oh, this is from last March. I hope the lunch isn't that old. Dear Mayor, what are your thoughts on a monthly 90-minute clergy roundtable with you and the CAO while the review of the police department is underway? I'm thinking of having both Latino and African-American clergy there. Again, this is a constituency group that in the past has not been organized as well as they should have been. In addition, it gives us moral ground, a wide array of other issues to include them in discussions. I guess the counter-argument would be that they have a decreasing organizing capacity themselves, have less influence in their communities today than they did a generation ago, and if empowered and left unchecked, can go off reservation. But I believe that if we empower them through these meetings, give them clear and doable tasks and asks, the return is greater than if we did nothing at all. So there it was in March. Black community was up in arms about the police scandal. The mayor and his chief of staff are trying to figure out what to do in dealing with the Black Latino community and how to deal with their ministers. Let's see what else is in the Compost Heap. Black Politics, White Power, a great book about New Haven and its modern history, recommended by Uhuru Williams. This is about a different mayor, Dick Lee, who was around in 1959, and he had an advisor who, like the Mayor DeStefano chief of staff, he too came from the labor movement, Mitch Speardoff. And he too wrote the mayor a letter when the black community was upset in Dixwell, same neighborhood, called Memo on Problems of Leadership in the Negro Community. Speardoff talks about different categories of leaders. He says we can't work with the conservatives. They're highly rational but innately conformist or assimilationist. So he says, what about the moderates, the educationers and ministers and professionals? They would appear, quote, to offer the kind of leadership with which authorities could form an effective alliance for solutions. But, he said, in tough situations they seem to falter, hesitate, vacillate, and even run for cover. So what about the loudest voices? They call them the extremists or direct actionists. What Speardoff says is that you might consider them irresponsible leadership, but people are upset about things and we should listen to them. He says, true, the responsible radical may fail to show proper appreciation for programs or even for personal favors. His behavior may even border on downright discourtesy. To cut oneself off from him, however, is again to invite irresponsibility. So what he's saying is that we can't just use that strategy of giving the moderates political appointments or favors, because he says it might win them over, but it also could neutralize their potential. So what's this all about? I don't mean to make fun of anybody. You know, this was a private memo that the author, Uhuru Williams, found in Dick Lee's files decades later. Thanks to the Freedom of Information Act, we were able to find this memo just a few months later. And it's good that mayors and their aides try to figure out how to do with the community that's upset. And they're well-meaning. My only point I would leave with is that maybe in 1959, Mitch Speardoff had an idea about not just ignoring the loudest voices if they don't play ball with you. And maybe that might have been a lesson for how some voices weren't heard this time around. Until next time, this is the New Haven Independent Vlog News Summary. And remember, always pick up your trash and your lunch.